Mental Health and Relationships, Episode 2. How do you show up in relationships? Understanding your attachment styles with Dr. Rock.
Hello, everybody. Well, this is Dr. Rock. It's Lunch and Learn, y'all. Yes. I have my Zaxby salad today. It's the new year. Getting more greenery in the body. And so today I want to talk about how do we show up in relationships. Listen, I don't care what you believe. You can believe in Jesus. You cannot believe in Jesus. But at the end of the day, everybody is in a relationship. Be it a relationship with yourself, a relationship with your job, a relationship with a coworker, a relationship with your spouse, a relationship with your dog. You are always in a relationship. Relationship with your parents, your family, don't matter. You will always be, as long as you are here on this earth, you will always be in a relationship. Even if you choose not to engage with anybody else, you have to be in relationship with yourself first. So today on today's Lunch and Learn, like I said, we are going to talk about how do you show up in relationships. Understanding attachment styles. Now, I know some of you may know what attachment styles are, and some of you may not. When I first started school, I didn't know what attachment styles was. I didn't know what they were. But once I started researching them, once I started studying them, because I had to as a student, right? I said, oh, that's what that is? So it's basically bringing identity to what you already know, shaping your world of what you already know. In school, we call it theology language or therapeutic language. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to dive right in because everybody is in some type of relationship. And we're going to bring identity to what attachment styles are. So, when we look at, the intersection between theology and mental health, we find that they aren't separate. You hear people say theology versus mental health, but to me, they're not separate. They're not separate realms, but they are deeply connected. In fact, mental health is a vital part of theology. I truly believe that, especially as we recognize that Jesus, come on, he is the epitome of whole integrated health. He is mind, body, and spirit. So understanding the way we form relationships with others, let me tell you something, y'all, is so crucial. Not just from a psychological standpoint, but also from a spiritual one. Our emotional and relational well-being directly reflects the love, the care, and the guidance that God intended for us to receive and to give. Not just to receive, but we have to make the exchange. One key component of how we show up in relationships is shaped by our attachment style, right? Attachment styles are the way in which people form relationships with others. And they are characterized by how we feel about intimacy. Yeah, I said it. How we feel about intimacy, how we feel about trust, and vulnerability. 3 words that are vitally key to any type of relationship, because oftentimes we don't like to be vulnerable. A lot of times we don't trust because we don't know how to trust. You hear a lot of people say that they don't trust others, but that comes from not really trusting yourself. And a lack of trust is really deep-rooted, seated fear. But we're going to get more into that. But intimacy, trust, and vulnerability. They're lifelines, y'all, for relationships. They are the lifeline. You can't have an effective relationship without one being vulnerable. Because if you're consistently prideful in a relationship and there's no vulnerability, baby, that relationship is not going to last, even with yourself. You heard of the term self-sabotage? Yeah, you will self-sabotage, and we're going to get into that more. So you can't effectively have a relationship without being vulnerable. If you're always prideful and you're not vulnerable, the relationship's not going to last. if there's no trust, if there's always fear of something's going to happen, the relationship is not going to last. And if there is no intimacy, listen, you need intimacy. A relationship will not last if there's no intimacy. If there is just surface level relationships that you think will last, I'm here to tell you, baby, it's not. Sorry to bust your bubble, but it's just the truth anyhow. So we're going to really dig deep, into it. But I want to start out by defining attachment styles by letting you know that attachment styles are formed in our earliest relationship, and that's with our parents. It sets the foundation to how we relate to others throughout our lives, throughout our entire lives. The bond between a child and a caregiver, my two sons, they have 4 parents, and each of us contribute differently. Each of us have our own contribution to them, and so when it comes to attachment styles, that starts with our earliest relationship. Like I said, it starts in the very beginning, and it plays a pivotal role in forming a template. Hear me now. A template for how the child sees the world and the people living in it. According to psychiatrist and psychoanalyst John Bowlby, great guy, look him up, YouTube him, he's all over. A child's earliest relationship with their parents shapes how they approach to social interactions and relationships as they grow. And I'm going to quote him. Child's early relationships with their caregivers, parents, shapes how they will approach social interactions and the relationships as they grow. The concept is simple, yet profound. When a baby is born, their first social connection is with their parents. It's with their caregivers. And that bond lays the groundwork for how their brain begins to form perceptions of social interactions. That's how they learn. That's how they're nurtured. That's how they learn how to respond to trauma, to love. That's where it begins. Listen, if the child is nurtured in a warm and a responsive environment where their emotional needs are consistently met, they develop what's known as a secure attachment. This child learns that their emotions can be recognized, that their needs can be recognized. We want our needs recognized, but it starts early on in childhood. They recognize that they are worthy of love, they are worthy of support, and that people can be trusted. You see, it starts early on, y'all. However, the opposite of that, when a child perceives that their needs are unmet or their caregivers are inconsistent, they may develop an insecure attachment style, such as avoidant, anxiousness, and disorganized. I'm going to read those 3 again. Insecure attachment styles are anxiety or anxiousness, avoidant, or disorganized. And when this happens, when they experience from an early childhood that their needs are unmet by their parents, that their needs, that there is inconsistency of love shed by their parents, they develop these insecure attachment style, and this creates a distorted perception of how relationships work. It starts in the very beginning, y'all. And when this happens, it can impact their mental and spiritual well-being as they grow. Now, before we dig deeper, I want to take a moment to explore both spiritual and psychological frameworks regarding how we show up in relationships. These frameworks show how we view ourselves and how we view others, understanding in both faith and psychology, faith and the mind. You know, what we believe spiritually and what we believe in the mind, how our mind functions differently than how our faith functions, right? We gain a holistic perspective of how our early experiences influence the way we navigate relationships as adults. Oh yeah, let's dig in. So I talked about the secured attachment style. I talked about the anxious attachment style. I talked about the avoidant attachment style and the disorganized attachment style. So now I want to first talk about anxious. The anxious attachment style is a preoccupied attachment style. It often stems from parents who are inconsistent in their responses. Very key, right? At times they may be supportive and attuned to the child's needs, but at other times they may neglect or they may be neglectful or unaware of what the child truly needs. In some cases, these parents seek emotional or physical closeness with their children to fulfill their own emotional needs. I'm going to say that again. In some cases, not all, these parents seek emotional or physical closeness with their children to fulfill their own emotional needs, rather than meeting the child's needs. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. This creates a confusing environment for the child, where love and care feels unpredictable. This inconsistency makes it difficult for the child to understand the parent's behavior and leaves them uncertain about what to expect from future interactions. Can I trust that my parent is going to meet my need? Can I trust that my parent is going to be consistent with what I need? It is also normal to fear losing one's love. But if these needs and fears become too strong, the child may develop a deep fear of losing love, which over time can evolve into emotional hunger. Longing for connection that feels unsatiable. I want you to think about what I just said. Is it normal to feel, or is it normal to fear losing somebody's love? It is. But when this feeling of losing somebody's love becomes too strong, it becomes overwhelming, it causes us to have fear, have anxiety. The child may develop a fear of losing love, which over time can evolve into emotional hunger, a longing for connection that feels insatiable. As adults, having this attachment style, those with anxiety, preoccupied attachment style, often place others on a pedestal while struggling with low self-esteem. That's that emotional hunger. They crave intimacy and closeness, often becoming emotionally dependent on others to fill the void. Their emotional needs can feel overwhelming. Going back to that emotional hunger, they may rely on loved ones as the source of stability. That is not good, because you want to have inner security, not insecurity, but inner security. You want to have that source of stability that's from on the inside. But when you depend on others to make you feel good, to fill the void, that's dangerous. The emotional insensitivity often leads to overanalyzing every interaction and projecting their own insecurities on the other person. They made me do it. No, you made the choice to do it. Nobody can make you do anything. This is that fear because of the lack of inner security, but you have insecurity. They may become consumed with thoughts of what the other person is thinking or feeling, making it difficult to maintain healthy, balanced relationships. That's just a little bit about anxiousness, being preoccupied with what other people think, what other people feel, because of the insecurity, because there's no inner security. The next one was avoidant, dismissive attachment style. Yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. Children raised by emotionally distant and strict parents who expect the child to be tough, expect the child to be independent, and do not tolerate emotional expression. You don't let that child cry. You don't let that boy cry. Ain't nothing wrong with a boy crying. He's expressing emotional, what he's feeling on the inside. Emotional expressions are real. It needs to be balanced, yes, but emotional expression is real. Parents who don't allow their children to house this space are often left with an avoidant attachment style. Oh yeah. These parents unintentionally teach their children that people cannot be relied on for emotional support. So you gotta be tough. You gotta be rough. You gotta tough it out. Tough it out. Get it together. No. When you teach your child that child grows up as a teenager like that, as an adult like that, as a wife like that, as a husband like that, and that is not inner security, it's insecurity. Listen, in school, we learned how to be, that Jesus was the challenger and the compassionate. He was yet challenging, but he also had compassion. He had compassion. We have to balance the two. We can't always challenge. You got to do this, or you got to do that, or you're not gonna do well. No, have compassion for the learning curve of that child. Every child has a learning curve, just like every adult has a learning curve. We have to learn how to have the balance between both worlds, be challenging yet compassionate. Because when we teach the child that, they become dismissive. As adults, those with an avoidant attachment style tend to keep relationship at bay. Surface level. Nothing deep going on in this relationship. It's all surface. No, don't even try to take me there. Intimacy, no. We ain't being intimate for what? This avoidant. No, I'm going to avoid all emotions at as much as I can. Emotional closeness and intimacy is always avoided with the avoidant attachment style. Always avoided. Not because they don't understand the benefit, but because they simply don't know how to create or nurture it. It started as a child. If you're involved with a man, or if you're involved with a woman who is just dismissive, it's not that they don't want to, they don't know how. Baby, they don't know how, because when they were a child, they weren't nurtured. They were taught, be tough. Tough it up. Shut it up. Get it together. That's how they were taught. That was their response to when they cried, when they wanted to show emotion, when they expressed emotion. Shut it up. Get it together. No, that's not how we do it. So if you're dealing with somebody that responds like that is in a relationship at surface level, baby, you're dealing with an avoidant attachment style. They don't know how to create or nurture being present. Let that sit for a minute. I'm gonna take a chop of my salad. Let that sit for a minute. Just like I'm eating this salad, I know how to eat the salad. I know how to pick up the fork. I know just the right amount of food to put on the fork, and the right amount of food to put in the mouth, and to eat slowly because I'm a bariatric patient. I got a small stomach. I learned how to do that because I went through training, extensive training. When you have this lifestyle, you can't eat fast like you used to. You got to chew your food, like the dentist say. Chew your food 32 times, then swallow. Take your time eating. I had to be taught that. Right? And this attachment style, this avoidant, dismissive attachment style, if the child is not taught that, if the teenager is not taught that, that adult is going to be that because they don't know how. They were not taught. They don't know how to create or nurture. And so because they were not taught that, they were not given that, they can't give it. You can't take out of somebody what has not been deposited in them. So if it wasn't given, if it wasn't received, it can't be given out. It's plain as day. I'm telling you, when we started learning about this in school, I was like, oh my God. Wow, this is why. Oh, that is why. Oh yeah. It has a name. Attachment styles. When a relationship begins to deepen with this person who has an avoided dismissive attachment style, it causes them to feel so uncomfortable. And they may hit a brick wall. And they're going to focus on them, not you, not the relationship. Because they feel so uncomfortable. And they don't know how to relate. Avoidant individuals have a strong tendency to shut down. Oh yeah. Pull away, especially when things start to get serious. They believe that emotional intimacy isn't necessary for a fulfilling life. Why? Because it was introduced to them as a child, as a baby. So they grew up thinking, this is not, there's no need for what this person as an adult is trying to give me, because I didn't experience this as a child. And I'm living, but are you really living? I'm thriving, but are you really thriving? You were taught that this is one way to be in a relationship, and that's dismissive. And because you were taught this as a child, you think it's okay. So when other type of relational things come, nope, it's dismissed, it's avoided. So ain't no deep intimacy taking place. Not with this type of attachment style. People with this type of attachment style, they shut down and they pull away when things start to get serious. They believe that emotional intimacy is unnecessary for fulfilling life. In the past, emotional support was often unavailable. So they learned to stop seeking it. It's as if they turned off a switch that will allow them to rely on others for emotional connection. And they simply don't seek to expect it, or they don't seek it anymore. Now, if you are interested in knowing what your attachment style is, a lot of the information I got from school, and a lot of information from today I got from a company called Project Attachment. And they have an attachment style test, just like spiritual gifts tests, just like love language tests, just like apology language tests. They have a test. It's about 5 minutes and it's free for you to answer questions, and they will let you know what your attachment style is. And so a lot of the information that you hear is on their site. I'm going to post the link in the description. And I want you to invest in yourself. And what I mean by investing in yourself, initiating, going online, typing in Project Attachment Styles, and take the test. Invest in your mental health. There's no money, just time. Take time to invest in yourself. The third attachment style is disorganized. Now, this one is the biggest out of the 3 insecure attachment styles. And it's the biggest because it involves both anxious and avoidant. So the disorganized attachment style is known as fearful and avoidant, anxious and avoidant, because anxiety is fear, right? So children raised by unpredictable and inconsistent parents often develop a disorganized attachment style. These parents show highly contrasting behaviors. You know, the up and down, the in and out. Sometimes neglectful, sometimes overly intrusive, leaving the child in constant fear and confusion. The child doesn't know what to expect or when their needs will be met because they're constantly met with contrasting behavior. They're constantly met with fear. They're constantly met with avoidance. So they don't know what to expect. It's the unbalance, it's the confusion. Like, what's really going on? The child doesn't know if or when their needs will be met, leaving them unsafe emotionally, leaving them uncertain. When somebody is uncertain, you'll experience a lot of fear. Oh, baby. When somebody is not safe, they ain't gonna be bothered. No, they're gonna avoid because of the fear, because they're afraid. So they're gonna avoid you at all. At all possible. They're not going to be involved. They're not going to be bothered. They're just not going to show up. They're not going to be present. That's the disorganized attachment lifestyle. This unpredictability causes the child to develop mixed behaviors. They may seek closeness and comfort, but simultaneously fear it and push it away. Their reactions are inconsistent because that's what they received, right? They desire relationship, but don't know how to be in relationship because of the uncertainty that they were given from their caregivers, that they were given from their parents. So they don't know how to be relational. They want closeness, they want comfort, but they push it away because they don't know what it looks like. Their reactions are, like I said, inconsistent. They're driven by confusion and fear. Fear of rejection and fear of abandonment. So they reject because they don't want to be rejected. Yeah. I want to get close, but I'm so afraid that you're going to reject me. So in protection of myself, although I want to get close, I'm going to reject you. Dangerous. So dangerous. Adults with this attachment style often fear intimacy, but simultaneously crave attention, crave affection. They want it badly. They desire to be loved greatly, but they fear getting close to it, although they want it so bad, because of the confusion. This internal conflict leads to emotional self-sabotage, with relationships being prematurely ended, either physically by withdrawing or emotionally by checking out. You can be in a relationship with somebody that has this attachment style, and you'll never see them. They'll always be somewhere else in the house. You'll never come together. You'll never experience dating. You'll never experience intimacy, but they want it. They want it badly. So they'll self-sabotage what they really earnestly want because of fear of being rejected. Disorganized adults often feel unable to trust others, and they may struggle with maintaining consistent, meaningful relationships, although it's what they want. Their internal battle between wanting closeness and fearing it make their attachment style so difficult to treat. Unlike the attachment style of anxiousness or avoidant, which tends to lean more towards one or the other end of the spectrum. Disorganized attachment style incorporates the elements of both. So it makes it highly unpredictable and difficult to navigate, because when you think they got it, then the other attachment style will show up. Because the disorganized attachment style has both. They have the anxiousness and they have the avoidant. So it may seem like, oh, they got it. You praying and you hukamashaya, and then all of a sudden, boom, the other one will show up. So that's why it makes it very difficult. Those with this type of attachment style has to really be grounded and say, okay, I am going to abandon all fear and all dismissiveness at all costs, because I want to be healed. And it takes time. It takes patience. You talk about long suffering. If you're in a relationship with somebody who has the disorganized attachment style, it's going to take a lot of patience, lots of long suffering. Relationships with disorganized individuals, it can really feel like a roller coaster. Just like I said, just when you think you've made progress, the other one shows up unexpectedly. Fear may show up unexpectedly. When they decided, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to be together, I'm going to be present, and it's going good. And then all of a sudden, an argument breaks out because fear then came in. It's like a personality disorder, something else that we're learning. Most attachment specialists agree that, like I said, this is the hardest attachment style to address unless that person is ready to abandon all. Because it's deeply rooted in fears. It's deeply rooted in conflict. Deeply rooted. Now, the last attachment style is secure. The secure attachment style. Now, these three insecure attachment styles can and will, if somebody is willing to overcome, become secure attachment style. So children raised by parents with a secure attachment style experience consistency in both safety and trust. These parents don't break the child's trust. They respond to the child's needs in a predictable and reliable way. Instead of dismissing or ignoring the child's emotional cues, such as crying. Because listen, babies cry, they can't talk. So their emotional expression is crying, right? So, when they give cues such as crying, the parents have to recognize crying is a form of nonverbal communication. Very key. Because when the parents don't recognize it as nonverbal communication, then you're dealing with the other attachment styles, right? Like I said, because when a baby cries, they can't talk. So this is their way of expressing a need or discomfort. A parent who responds to these cues with empathy, rather than telling them to shut up, be quiet, rather than telling them you don't have to do all that crying, ignoring them, it promotes a sense of safety and security. A child with a secure attachment grows up knowing that their needs will be met and that emotional support is always available when needed. The stability creates a foundation of trust, allowing the child to explore the world and build relationship with others from a place of security. Not abandonment, not rejection, but a place of security. Because the parent is attuned to the child's needs. The child learns to regulate their emotions and feels confident that their relationship with others is secure. Now I'm going to shift really quickly to Matthew 13:54 through 58. That's the text that I'm coming from. When we become too familiar with our negative thought patterns or self-limiting beliefs, it can block us from experiencing true healing and transformation. I'm going to say that again. When we become too familiar with our negative thought patterns or self-limiting beliefs, it can block us from experiencing true healing and transformation. Listen, you struggling to start or maintain or grow a relationship? It might be the insecure attachment style, a pattern that's shaped by the earliest relationship with your parents, leaving you stuck in survival mode, protecting your childhood self as an adult. Come on, we're going to talk about it. Coming from Matthew 13:54 through 58. But there's good news, y'all. Awareness is the first step to breaking free. Knowing what attachment style you have. That's what you need. That's the beginning of deliverance, awareness. I always say, listen, when I'm, in services, dealing with demons, listen, because demons are real. Deliverance is real. I always say the first step to deliverance is awareness. Accepting I got an issue. Accepting something is wrong. Accepting I need the help. Jesus came to help us discover how to rewrite our relationship story and step into a secure, thriving connection with others. In Matthew 13:54-58, Jesus can perform miracles in his hometown, not because he lacked ability, but because of the lack of faith from those who knew him. Yeah, that was enormous to Jesus. Why? It was enormous because he could have really just rebuked the devil. He could have spoke to their unbelief like he did in the other towns. But how dare they not believe when they know him more intimately than anyone else? This was his hometown. This wasn't a random town. This was the place where he grew up. This was the place surrounded by people who knew him intimately. And yet, familiarity bred contempt. Instead of honoring him as the Messiah, they dismissed him, just as the carpenter's son. This response reveals as a disorganized attachment, a mix of familiarity and distrust that kept them from receiving the healing and transformation Jesus was ready to give. Their rejection just wasn't disbelief. It was a refusal to see him beyond their limited perception. But Jesus, the perfect parent, still offers us a chance to break free from our limited beliefs and step into the fullness of faith and connection. Even Jesus, right there in front of them. Many in the New Testament still struggle to believe. I'm not talking about the Old Testament, where there was no grace, there was not Jesus. But I'm talking about the New Testament. They were right there with him. They still struggle to believe. Like us, we struggle to believe when we have grace, when we have the Holy Ghost, the Paracletos that's with us every single day. He said, I won't leave you comfortless. We still struggle with belief. Faith is critical, y'all. It's the absence of it that can blind us to the miracles that's waiting to unfold in our lives. Consider how the crowd around Jairus' daughter, y'all know the story, they chose skepticism and rebellion over belief. Much like the people in Jesus' hometown. Come on, hear me what I'm saying. It's a painful dynamic. Like an outsider showing more compassion for the understanding of your own family. You know that hurts. This rejection cuts deeper than somebody that's outside of our family because it comes from those who we should know love us the best, love us the most, because they're a part of our family. We want our family to know us intimately. We want our family to believe in us. We want our family to know that we got their back. But Jesus did not experience this from people in his hometown. He did not experience this from people who knew him intimately. Just like the situation with the Gadarenes. Jesus said that they will be judged more harshly than Sodom and Gomorrah. Why did he say that? Because of access. Access. Sodom and Gomorrah didn't have grace. Sodom and Gomorrah didn't have the presence of Jesus like the New Testament believers did. Yet, those with greater access still rejected him. This came as a result of the disorganized attachment style. The people in Jesus' hometown couldn't see him for who he truly was. We often fail to see ourselves the way Jesus sees ourselves, whole, healed, and empowered. We struggle with that. Those with those attachment lifestyles, those insecure attachment lifestyles, you struggle with it. This mirrors disorganization. The push between the desire for connection and the distrust, both in our relationship with God and ourselves. With God, with others, and ourselves. That disorganized attachment style is brutal. Like I said, because it involves the others. The other two. You're on a constant seesaw. Jesus, with New Testament believers, they were on a constant seesaw. They knew him as the Messiah, but sometimes viewed him as just the carpenter's son. Oh, that's just Mary's son. When we allow self-doubt, rebellion, and familiarity to take root, we distance ourselves from the faith required to step into the fullness of God's promises. Listen, in mental health, we can experience the same cycles, struggling between faith, God's promises, and self-doubt, vacillating between feeling confident and feeling full of faith in one moment, and then feeling paralyzed by doubt, fear, and shame in the next. It's the seesaw, y'all. This is especially true for when we become too familiar with the disorder of our minds. When we allow this disorder to linger and not do anything about it, it lives on. And we can't be in relationship effectively with people because we don't know how to be in relationship with ourselves. We self-sabotage. We self-doubt. We don't believe that we can make it. We don't believe that we can overcome. We don't believe that we can do it. That's a mental disorder. We're out of order with our thinking. When he wants us to think on things that are good and that are lovely and that are of a good rapport, whose report will we believe? Will we continue to believe our report, our self-doubt? Or will we believe the report of the Lord? Listen, whether it's anxiety, God's got you. Whether it's depression, fear, self-doubt, God got you. Do you believe that? These negative patterns can create a barrier to the peace and the healing that God wants to give us. Lastly, I want to say this. In mental health, seeing clients, talking to people. You know, when I was in school, we have to do an introduction of myself. And, my introduction of myself was I was always a counselor. I just wasn't a professional counselor. I always had the gift, but I had to develop the skill. It's one thing to have the gift, but it's another thing to be anointing. There's a difference between the two. There's a difference between the two, because you don't have to be saved to have the gift, baby. Oh, but when you give your life to Christ and his super comes on your natural, then you flow in the anointing. He develops the skill, be it online, be it in school, wherever the development takes place, it takes place. And you can have the anointing to destroy the yokes and remove the burdens in people's lives. Listen, your gift is not for you. Your anointing is not for you. It's for someone else. Your development is for you so that you can help others overcome. But it's so important. It's so important to know where you're called so that you can help others overcome. So it's important to have a secure attachment style. Stop walking in fear. Stop being dismissive. Stop being disorganized in thought. but allow God to give you inner security so you're not insecure. Stop vacillating. We have a tug of war between two opposing thoughts, belief and doubt, just like the people in Jesus' hometown. We may struggle with being torn between two opinions. Do I believe that I can be healed, or am I stuck in these patterns forever? Do I believe I can overcome, or will I keep rejecting because I don't want to be rejected? Do I believe that I can really stand when I have done all that I know how to do is stand? Or am I going to be torn between two opinions? Order your thoughts. One of the most powerful aspects in mental health is the concept of order. The ability to have a clear and stable mind. Yeah. But when we are anxious, when we are depressed, when we are confused, our thoughts are often disordered and scattered. This leads to emotional chaos. Jesus offers us peace and order our minds through his presence by the renewing of our thoughts. If you're unsure of the avoidant attachment lifestyle, I'm going to give you some clues as to let you know you're struggling with an avoidant lifestyle. If you're pulling away when the relationship feels too close or demanding, you have an avoidant lifestyle, an avoidant attachment lifestyle. If you reject because you don't want to be rejected, that's signs of an avoidant attachment lifestyle in your relationship. If you avoid deep conversations about the feelings, or your future, that's signs of an avoidant attachment lifestyle. A very hard time depending on or fully trusting in their partner. You have a hard time. You're avoidant, you're dismissive. I want to give you some tips on how to realign, get away from, dismiss the avoidant attachment lifestyle. I want you to abandon rejection. Say it with me. I abandon rejection. The avoidant attachment lifestyle often stem from parents who were tough, emotionally distant, and taught their child to rely solely on themselves, nobody else. These children learned that they couldn't depend on others and that emotional closeness was not safe. This experience leads to the belief that others will reject them or that they can't be trusted. And to realign from this attachment style is essential to challenge and abandon the notion of perpetual rejection. The key is to stop interpreting neutral or positive actions from others as rejections. Is the lens by which you look at and what you look through. Is the voice that tells you, no one loves me. Nobody cares for me. I have to do this on my own. Those voices needs to be silenced. Instead, remind yourself, no, that is not my truth. Because I am worthy of love. And it's safe to trust and connect with others. You don't have to carry the weight of emotional isolation anymore. Tell yourself no. Abandon perceived rejection and no longer reject because of rejection. Anxiousness, signs of the anxious attachment style. Low self-esteem, Another strong fear of rejection or abandonment. Clinginess in relationships are strong signs of this attachment style. The fear of abandonment might often cause people with anxiety to be intensely jealous or suspicious of their partners. This attachment style also tends to be overly preoccupied with the relationship by seeking reassurance from their partner, feeling anxious if their partner is distant or unresponsive. They often struggle with the relationship that is stable, leading to clingy or overly attentive behavior. Yeah. Somebody can be in the bathroom and you think you're in fear that they'd have left the relationship. You're calling them on the phone and they're not answering the phone, and you think something is wrong, or you think they don't want to be bothered with you. Fear, driven by fear. How to realign yourself away from fear, away from the anxious attachment style. I need you to compensate for the anxiety and don't succumb to it. Repeat after me. I will compensate for the anxiety and I will not succumb to it. What do I mean by that? With this style, with this anxious attachment style, the mind often anticipates fear. It anticipates rejection in relationships, with yourself, with others, at work. It anticipates fear is going to take place. Fear is going to happen. Something wrong is going to happen. You have to realign and compensate for this anxiety. So instead of the anxiety controlling you, counteract it by focusing on grounding yourself in the present moment. Stay present. Don't move the mind over there. Don't think negatively. Stay present. Breathe. Think positively. Quiet the noise, the outside stimuli that's pulling you in different directions. Stay grounded. Shift your mindset. Rather imagining the worst case scenario, start with visualizing peace and security in your space. Practice staying present. And when the anxiety starts to rise, because it will, because you have to learn the skill, you have to be developed to quiet an anxiety. Simply tell yourself, stay present. Stay. Right? Those who are experiencing the other one, avoiding, you got to practice saying no. But those who are experiencing fear, practice saying stay. Stay present. Don't move. Stay grounded. Stay calm. Stay centered. By redirecting your focus, you can replace anxious patterns with feelings of stability and confidence. The last insecure attachment style. Signs of disorganized attachment style is this. On one hand, they want to belong. On the other hand, they move away. They don't want to be bothered. They want to be loved, but they're afraid of letting everybody in. I really want you with me, but I'm so afraid. So I'm not going to be bothered. I'm going to act like I don't want to be bothered. When in all essence, they really want to be bothered, but they don't know how. They have a strong fear that people who are closest to them will hurt them. So they block you out. They don't let you in. These adults are waiting for rejection. Dangerous. They're waiting for disappointment. They're self-sabotagers. And so because they're waiting on the rejection, they're waiting on the disappointment, they ain't gonna let you in. Their perception is inevitable. It's just not gonna happen. One psychologist described them like this. They described the attachment lifestyles like living in a disorganized attachment lifestyles, like imagining playing a game that you never really understood the rules of. That when it's your turn, you make your move, but you never know what to expect afterwards because you don't know the rules. And then you keep losing without knowing why. That's how that psychologist explained what a disorganized attachment style is. You are playing a game and you don't know the rules, yet you keep losing and you don't know why. Dangerous place to be in. You won't trust nobody. You won't let nobody in because you're tired of feeling hurt. You're tired of losing. You're tired of not gaining ground. Yeah. Disorganized attachment style is the strongest one. But this is how you realign a disorganized attachment style. You have to become aware of yourself. You have to build trust with your heart. Repeat after me. I will become aware of myself, and I will build trust within my heart. The first step to realigning from a disorganized attachment, like I said, is self-awareness. Recognize that the patterns that keep you stuck in emotional chaos, you got to recognize them. You got to give space to them, because ignoring them ain't gonna make it go away. It's not. It's gonna show up the next morning when you wake up. Trust and believe. So you got to recognize the patterns. You have to become aware. By becoming aware of your behaviors and reactions, you can start to build a trusting relationship with your heart, with you first, understanding your own fears. Yeah. You got to bring self-awareness to you. Understanding your triggers and your emotional needs. Trust yourself to heal and move forward. You got to stop the emotional roller coaster because you deeply desire a connection. Yeah? But the fear of being hurt often leads you to push others away. This self-protection mechanism can cause a cycle of sabotage and emotional turmoil. It's time to stop the roller coaster. Tell yourself, stop. Yeah? Not everybody is out to hurt you. Not everybody is out to make your life difficult. People can be trusted. When you learn that you can trust yourself, you're one of those people that can be trusted. You can let yourself experience love and connection, baby, without experiencing betrayal or pain. You can. Realign your thinking. Relationships can be safe. You deserve peace. And that's all Jesus was trying to bring. He wants us to have a secure attachment style. Now, let me give you signs of a secure attachment style. Those that have a secure attachment style are consistent in regulating their emotions and feelings in a relationship, starting with themselves. They are strong, goal-oriented behavior beings with themselves. Oh, yeah. Before they can be goal-oriented with you, they have to be goal-oriented with themselves on their own. They can be by themselves and they can be with others and be good. They are great with bonding opening up to others, and trusting others. They know what they're about in life, and they know what purpose they want to fulfill. There's no struggle there. They can communicate effectively with others, and they can communicate their needs. They don't struggle with telling you, this is what I want, this is what I need, and there's no compromise with that. Oh yeah. People with secure attachment styles, they have an impact on the world. First with themselves, then they have an impact on the world. Oh yeah. They're comfortable with closeness and mutual dependency. They can depend on you. They have no problem depending on you, and they can depend on themselves. They actively seek emotional support from their partner, but they also give emotional support. They got the great balance, the challenger and the comforter. Jesus was both a challenger and a comforter. They are comfortable with being alone because it gives them time to explore. It gives them time to learn. They don't feel insufficient if they're by themselves and not with you. They're building themselves. They have a strong capacity to reflect on how they are being in a relationship. Those with a secure attachment style, maintain it. Focus on consistency. Focus on open communication. Focus on emotional self-regulation. Stay consistent with it. When you get low, because we are humans, we can get low, reach out. Nurture trust by being responsive to the needs of those around you, by expressing your own needs in healthy ways. Practice emotional awareness by regularly checking with yourself and your relationship. Check on yourself. Are you good? Is everything okay? Take yourself out. Treat yourself. Be good to yourself. Check on yourself. Make sure you're good. Right? Being vulnerable, having support. Remember, maintaining security in relationship requires both giving and receiving. Trust, compassion, and understanding. By fostering a safe and balanced emotional environment, you can continue to build lasting and secure connections with others. How we are in our attachment style is how we show up in our relationship with Christ. He demonstrated it in Matthew, the scripture that I gave earlier today. He demonstrated it. He let us know. That's why he could not perform the miracles that he performed. Matthew 13:54-58. He left the town because they just chose not to believe. Believe it or not, we say we love Jesus, but our attachment style isn't predicated on that love. The truth is, we show up with him the same way we show up with others. When things don't go our way with people, how often do we project that on God? We leave the church. We stop praying. We don't have intimate time with God. We stop studying. Instead, we turn to other gods, little g. We turn to sex. We turn to food. We turn to shopping. We turn to rebellion. We turn to TV. Even other religions itself. Some people stop even believing in God. They go to other religions that allow them to be their insecure self-attachment. But here's the thing. Those things don't heal us. They distract us. It's time to build a stronger foundation in Jesus. Starting with yourself. Because in order for you to have an effective, balanced relationship with Jesus, you got to take a look inward. Bottom line, you got to start by remembering He made us and we are fearfully and wonderfully made. He is the ultimate parent. He's the perfect parent. And with Him, we are secure. we have a secure relationship with him. So we can have a secure attachment style with him. We can trust him. Even when things go wrong. And they will. When life feels like it's about to fall apart, don't lean on your own understanding. Instead, in all your ways, acknowledge him. And he will direct your path. He will guide you when your flesh screams to do the opposite. Here's the invitation. Take the first step to understanding how you show up in relationship, both with others and with Christ, but first with yourself. Listen, when you don't know your attachment style, click on the link. Click on the link in the description and visit Attachment Project. That's what they're called, Attachment Project. Take their free 5-minute test to discover where you stand. Now, if you're ready to invest in yourself, hey, I'm Dr. Rock. You ready to rewrite your story? Click on the link, the 15-minute free consultation, and let's start your journey to become the better version of you. Because you're worth the investment. Remember, mental health matters. Do you have a secure attachment style? If you do, help others. But if you don't have a secure attachment style, if you walk in fear, if you dismiss because of fear, let me help you. Let me walk with you so that you can be present in every relationship that God has called you to, so that you can have balance in every relationship that the Father has called you to advance the kingdom. At the end of the day, it's about our relationship with him. But if we don't know how to be in relationship with ourselves or with others, that's how we show up with him. And how can we advance the kingdom when we're walking in fear, when we're dismissive of others, when he has called us to embrace others so that they can have a right to the tree of life as well? Well, I'm Dr. Rock and I'm signing off. God bless you. God keep you. Click the link above and let's do this thing together. God bless you. Peace.
Please like and share. Remember, have inner security, not insecurity. Get your free consultation today at I Love Healthy Me with Dr. Rock.